Hello and welcome to another episode of Hammercast, the GameHammer classic gaming podcast. Now this week I've had the pleasure of talking to a guy who has sprung onto the retro gaming scene over the last year and really has made quite a splash. He's a pleasure to talk to and I think you're going to really enjoy this one. So let's get straight into it. This is a conversation with Mikey Smith from the Mikey and Janie show over on Twitch. You're a big member of the retro gaming community on the internet, aren't you? I wanted to start by asking you how you got into that, because when I first came across your show on Twitch, you just appeared like a big explosion. It was already there and all going. So how on earth did you get into that?
I think, to be absolutely honest with you, I think we copied Zypho. So we used to watch Zypho. You know him as well, don't you?
I turn up in his show. I'd say regularly, but I don't always chat. Sometimes it's there in the background because you just want to watch it.
You're a lurker. I like lurkers. I do. I like lurkers. So we were lurkers on Zypho's stream, and I don't know how we got into it because, like, I've never had an Amstrad or anything, or I've got no background in any of that, any nostalgia for it. Never had an 8-bit system, like nothing at all. And we just randomly ended up watching Zypho, and then Zypho becomes a kind of gateway drug for Novabug.
That's true.
And so, but it was at that point, I think it was like Zypho was doing loads of live streaming, and he's got like a nice community and chatting with his community, and I didn't know any of that existed until I saw him doing that. And then I think just at some point, probably I think it was when lockdown started, it might have been, a load of us, not just me and Jane, a load of us started streaming. So it wasn't like we just decided to start streaming. There was about 4 or 5 people from that like Amstrad community who just started streaming because we were all stuck in.
Yeah.
And we've just carried on. I mean, that's kind of, I know it's not like that exciting, but that's how it worked. That's how it worked. We just carried on and then started taking it more and more seriously, Well, I wouldn't say we take it that seriously, but,
Sometimes that's the best, though. You enjoy what you're doing and have a bit of fun with it. But that is something that I found amazing with the retro community. It's like, I saw it in the model trains as well. It's like, we're all going to have issues, and a lot of us don't have people that are around. So let's all get together and make sure people aren't alone.
Yeah.
So I love that about the community. Everyone just pulled together. So yeah, it's amazing. I'm glad that got you into it.
Well, and it almost doesn't matter what the topic is, because you just mentioned your train streams, you and Jenny. And I would say I watch like one out of 3 of them, like all the way through. Now, what the hell do I know about trains?
I have the same thing. I'm on it and I don't know.
But I think you must know more than blooming me, So I'm just and I think it's just nice because it's just nice to be like around people, and it was definitely nice to be around people back in March of 2020, was it? Yeah, March of 2020 when we all got stuck at home. Like the only person we ever saw was fucking Boris with his PowerPoint slides, and so the community aspect of it's really, really amazing. That's why, that's why I can sit and watch a stream about trains, and then so it is really cool. That is what's nice about the retro community is like, it's just, I mean, not everyone gets on. That's part of the fun though. You know what I mean? Like all the little gangs and how the gangs overlap, and it's good fun in it,
I think we're always going to get it. No one's ever going to get on with everyone. And I don't think anyone should expect us to. But with the retro
ain't that the truth?
Well, sometimes you meet someone and you just think, I just don't like you. That's going to happen, whether you're online or not. But with the retro community, we have that extra little bit. I know you said you weren't an Amstrad person or an 8-bit, but back in the 80s, you were Amstrad, you were Spectrum, or you were Commodore. And if you were one of those, you didn't like the others. And it's kind of carried on ever since.
Yeah, you can tell there's like a bit of that. It's fun. I think the modern version of that is probably, how people talk about whether you're emulating or you're on real hardware.
Yeah.
Like that seems to be like the modern equivalent. And we're only joking. Like we will say on stream, like, about real hardware and stuff. And But it's a joke. Like we emulate, we know we've got emulator in the front room. We've got emulator on my phone. I've got an Ouya over there that is basically an emulation box. So we are into emulation, but it's just like when we go on about that on stream about real hardware, it's just like a gimmick more than anything. It's just taking the mick. But I think that's the modern thing, is like the argument between real hardware and emulation. And now you got all these new cool kids, the Mr. gang.
Oh,
the FPGA gang. Oh, they've got a foot in each camp. They want it always. They want their cake and eat it. They want to open a cake shop. Like they're just it's like, but they're the cool kids. They just walk around wearing sunglasses and stuff. They're like really cool. These FPGA people. But I think they've got to be rich to be it, haven't they? So they are cool by default.
Well, I didn't know about that. I haven't even looked into it. I saw this thing and thought, you know what? I'm too old for this. I can't learn a new thing.
I can't be arsed with this. Yeah, it
was enough for me.
Well, the thing with the Mr. project is it's not like you can go, like with a Raspberry Pi, you can buy a Raspberry Pi, can't you, Zoe? Right? You can buy a Raspberry Pi and you flash it with whatever, and you're away, right? And the Mr. thing, you've got to buy this, you've got to plug this into it. It needs that on the top if you want to do that. And so you have a look at these Misters, and they look like some kind of like failed experiment. They've got all these stuff hanging off them, fans super glued onto them and all this. Like they look a right mess. It's like in Superman 3 when at the end in Superman 3 when they create that woman who's like a robot with all bits of computer stuck to her face. It's like that's what a typical Mister looks like.
Oh my goodness, I was just imagining in the back of my head the Doc Brown trying to put together his time machine in 1885.
Yeah, Doc Brown trying to download the right core for Donkey Kong.
Oh my goodness, how fast do I have to drive this DeLorean before I can play Manic Miner?
Yeah, totally. So yeah, there is those little. That's the fun thing about the retro kind of scene. And we've just joined Twitter, so like we see it. It's kind of Twitter's kind of interesting as well because, like, we see like how these different people overlap and like how people who watch you watch somebody else.
Yeah,
does that make sense? Because you don't really know about that, do you? When you're streaming, you don't really know like what people are into and what other streams they watch, but since we joined Twitter, we now kind of get a feel for it, like...
Yeah.
And so that's quite good because you kind of know who to do collaborations with.
Yeah, absolutely. For example, when you're in there making the show, I don't know whether it's the same for you guys on Twitch, but from a YouTube side, the only time I see who's there is at the end where it says, oh, you've had this many people watch, or they're chatting in the chat. There are so many lurkers that I don't know what they're there for, who they're interested in, what they've come for.
Yeah.
So it is nicer to see, oh, this person likes that. Yeah. It expands what you know about your audience, basically.
Yeah, and even on Twitch, if you've got like 100 viewers on Twitch, typically about 40 to 45 of them will chat.
Mm.
And so you do start getting a bit like, who are they? Like, what's their intentions?
Watch out for them. They're coming over the horizon.
It's that weird. You just think, and I've become a bit obsessed with it. Like, who are these other people? And why won't they show themselves? But of course it's just daft. It's just like streamer paranoia. But you're like, who is it? Come on. It's just, I don't know. It's like, who's watching us? And like, I think what I like about chat is you can find out straight away if something that you've said is funny or not funny, or if what you're doing is a bit boring, or like that's quite good because you find out straight away. But I sometimes worry on Twitch that I kind of try and do what the most vocal members of the community are saying.
Yeah.
Not necessarily taken into account as like another 70% of people who aren't very vocal or don't chat at all, who might be thinking, oh no, don't do, because we do like quizzes. Yeah. And they could be thinking, don't do another quiz, the shit. But we've got like 25, 30 people who really like the quizzes, but the rest of them might be going, oh, bore off with your bloody film rounds, and it's really hard to you know this. It's hard to know what people want.
Yes, absolutely hard to know. I have a bit of a different way of seeing things because I don't do that much in the way of interactivity in the actual video, because YouTube has more of a delay than Twitch does.
Yeah.
If you want to get a decent quality video, it has 8 to 12 seconds of delay, which is no good for a quiz or anything like that.
No.
But I used to do stand-up comedy during the lockdown.
I know you did. I told you I've watched it. I like it.
Yeah, but some of the people that are watching this podcast won't know that. So I had to tell them.
Oh, sorry. Tell us more.
Yeah, and the worst part of that is I would have a Zoom call in the background so that an audience could laugh if there were jokes that were funny. And no one ever did. So I had YouTube videos where I had no feedback whatsoever. And it turned out that the people that were watching went, "Oh, we just muted on Zoom so that we didn't interrupt you."
Yeah.
But I've got no feedback.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. So one of the things I've been doing during lockdown is teaching presenter and presentation skills to people in business, like senior managers in business who want to use like some TV/radio type presenting techniques, but they want to like do it when they're talking about fucking, I don't know, balanced business scorecards or whatever, you know.
Keeping the audience more interested.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so yeah, I've ended up doing loads of Zoom and Teams meetings, like trying to teach or whatever. And this is what people do. They mute. And so you're talking away and you just think, hello? Are you still, you know, like, you just, hello? It's just so weird. So what I've started doing now when I do these corporate jobs is saying, right, everybody unmute. I'm waiting. I'm not starting until you unmute because I need some feedback because I'm basically insecure. And if you don't let me know you care, I'm going. And it's a bit, I suppose it's similar to being like, I don't know if you find this when you're live, you know, if chat goes a bit quiet and you think, what have I done? Have I said something racist? Like, why is everyone gone quiet?
I've never wondered about that, but I always wonder because, you know, I'm a comedian. I'm going to try and push boundaries here and there. Yeah. So I will say things that are a little bit edgy sometimes to see where the line is.
Where they're at, yeah.
Sometimes it goes dead. It's like, right, is that the chat just being a lull or have I found the limit?
Yeah, it's impossible, isn't it?
Worst feeling.
And especially when you're dealing with YouTube's delay, like, I mean, oh my God, you know, can you imagine like doing it? I've never done stand up, not properly, and but I've been to a lot of. I used to live in Edinburgh, so I've like seen loads of comedians at every level.
I can imagine that was amazing.
Amazing, yeah. But like, can you imagine if there was a 15-second delay between your joke and some bloke like 3 tables back from the Wirral who's up there with his mates to get pissed, and there's like this. Actually, there probably is a 15 because he's pissed. 15-second delay, but it must be really hard. So like, big shout out to you for doing that. Like, it was so impressive and they're fun to watch. Are you going to do any more?
I will be, yes.
Nice
My
one.
biggest issue at the moment is I've had a massive backlog of work over Christmas and New Year.
Yeah,
I've just had to get through all of that before I could do anything else. But you say you haven't done much stand-up, but you have done stage work, haven't you? You were in a pantomime over Christmas, weren't you not?
Yeah, so I've been acting for just be careful not to give away my age. I've been acting for between 6 and 8 years.
My goodness.
And so, but I not like proper stuff. Well, proper stuff, but not like.
If you're on the stage and there's an audience, that's proper stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's all just. Well, I mean, I don't mean like proper stuff as in the quality of the production. I mean, like, I don't do drama. You know, I'm not in Chekhov. You know, it's more like F off. You know, but I do loads of kids theatre, and I do loads of panto. And it's really good fun. And yeah, I've been doing that for a long time now. So like in my brain, that's what I do the most of.
Yeah.
But I also do presenting, and also like when a radio or a TV station wants like somebody to talk about something, like a pundit type thing. I've done a bit of that, and then out of nowhere this whole streaming thing. So I've just got this like stuff that's quite different, but all kind of linked in a way. And I'm lucky. And Jane always says this when I'm complaining, which is often. I'm lucky that I get to do performance I get to do what I like doing for a living, which like not a lot of people get to. And I've been that guy who has had jobs he hates, like, so I know what it's like when you're in a job you hate. Like,
I think we all know what it's like.
We
to be
all
in a job
know
we hate.
what that's like. And I mean, have you ever been in those jobs where it's like a proper office and there's like people in an office who hate themselves and each other, and it's just oh god, I'm getting bad feelings thinking about it. But I have been there, but I haven't had to do it for a long time, so I'm lucky, really.
That is fantastic, because when I found out that you did that, I was like, that's where he's getting it from. Because when I saw your show for the first time, I thought, this guy's a professional. And it came across right from the start. It's like, you know how to engage with your audience and keep them interested. And is that because of your background in theatre, or did it just appear?
I suppose, I mean, thank you for the compliment.
I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true.
But I suppose it's just like every job I've ever done has involved trying to keep people interested. Like my first job as a performer was selling things on shopping channels. So that's all about. That's like 100% that job is about them not turning over.
Yeah.
And like converting them from a viewer into a buyer and all this. So I think I probably learned a lot doing that, to be fair. Also, I do a lot of events and stuff, if you do like one of those city centre runs, or you do one of those bike rides across the country or whatever, and there's some poor bastard at the end in the piss rain, like trying to G up the audience whilst listening to Coldplay over the speakers, that kind of, I've done a lot of that. So like, yeah, I'm used to like just talking.
Well, we're here in Bolton. We have the Iron Man every year, and I always feel for the guy who's there having to do that, because that takes so long before you even see a contestant after they've started.
Oh yeah,
but you've got to keep the audience there.
Zoe, I've stood at a finish line for 9 hours, right?
Oh,
with nobody cross that finish line.
Oh my goodness!
And an audience of between 8 and 14 passers-by, some of which carrying either a empty pizza box or a bag from Tesco's on the way home from the shops, like, and they're just like, oh, this poor. The only people that stop to watch are the same people who slow down at car crashes. Like, oh, this poor guy.
Oh my goodness!
Come on, let's listen to him. Listen to it with his shit.
Oh my goodness!
So yeah, that's quite useful for those moments on Twitch when nobody's saying anything in the chat and you think, oh God. But obviously the advantage I've got on Twitch is that I've got my wife there. So yeah, if it goes quiet, we can just argue with each other. I'll make passive aggressive comments to each other.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
But it does work, and that's the thing. Like I said, when I watch your show, it is entertaining. It's a lot of fun. And you both have that kind of rapport that really works. And it's like, I may be wrong in this, but this is what came across. I think you have more of a background in the computers than your wife does. And that gives different levels so you can have a conversation, which if you're both well-versed in something, it ends up just being like, whoa, well, blah, blah, blah. Of course, blah, blah, blah. It's not the same, is it?
Yeah, I think that's our secret weapon. Like that. I mean, I do know more than Jane, but not because of having had these machines in when I was young. It's more to do with being like a massive geek and just
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and there's like not a video by the 8-bit guy, Techmoan, yourself, RMC. MVG, LG, there's not a video they put out that I haven't watched, but I'm sure you're the same. you know. And so that's where and I'm a bit of a geek. Like I've got a genuine passion for not for the. It's not so much the games on the machines. It's getting the machine up and running is a real nice challenge. And as you know, capturing a pissing decent video signal out of a machine is a challenge. Like I just think like sometimes when I've managed to like deinterlace the Acorn Electron's insane RGB signal and capture it, I think that like Norris McVerter and the Guinness World Record guys should come round and be like, oh, this guy's amazing. He's deinterlaced the Acorn Electron, you know. So I really, really enjoy that. So there is a good dynamic there that Jane just likes playing a game and she likes chatting to people. She's got no interest in any of the rest of it. So I'm stood there going, oh, well, I've had to dial in these OSSC settings tonight, guys. And she's just looking at me like, shut your face. You know, who cares? She just wants to know if there's a version of Kung Fu Master on the machine. Like, that's all she's interested in.
There's nothing wrong with that. And again, it's the different points of view that really work to make a show. Because if you're the same person talking to yourself, it's not quite the same, is it? Which I have the problem of on my show because I'm the only one here.
Yeah, well, I don't like it on my own. I don't know about you, but, well, I mean, obviously, you'll have to tell me, but, like, you do the show with Jenny and then you've got your streams on your own. But when Jane can't do the stream for whatever reason, which is pretty rare, I'll do the stream on my own, and I really struggle. I really struggle, which is why, thank God, you know that one when you came on for me, that was lovely. I really enjoyed that.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on. Oh,
it was just lovely. Cause I find it really odd, and I don't know why. Because when you consider like what I do for a living, sitting there and holding people hostage to me every thought should be something I get off on. But I just don't like it. I don't like being there on my own. And I also like I'm just acutely aware that people click on our stream, and then they'll see it's just me, and they'll go, "Oh fuck this!" Click, you know. Well,
I'm sure they don't.
They do, though. I've seen the stats, right?
Oh.
It's like a harsh reality, you know, like finding out that your wife is much more popular than you are is a harsh reality of modern Twitch streaming.
Oh, that is a shame. But even so, like you say, it's not often, so you can handle it from now and then. I can
handle it, yeah. And my little hardcore reviewers are always there. Like we've all got our hardcore, haven't we? That
I'd like to think so.
They stick with you. They just stick with you, and it's thank God for them. Like we've probably got about like 10 people who are always going to be there. You know, even if everything's going wrong and you can't get your systems to work, all the games that you prepped suddenly don't work. There's a problem with capture. OBS has had an update, all that stuff. Like you've got that core people who'll just say reassuring things like, "We're just here for you."
Yeah,
you know, which is nice.
Yeah, it is. So, tell me about the systems you've got, because you mentioned the Ouya, which I'm amazed still works. I was going to buy one, then they said, "Oh, we're shutting the store down," so I didn't. But apparently, they still work.
Yeah, so what you've got to do is you've got to like hack it slightly.
Ooh.
It's pretty easy to do. You just got to change a config file on it, plug it into like a PC, and it's got like this config file on the. It comes up as like as a storage device, and there's a little config file, and you've just got to change the web address of something on there. And what it does is a couple of guys who are up to no good a couple of guys have started their own Ouya servers.
Right.
That copy the original server and it redirects it to there. So you can still scroll through the games and all that sort of thing. But word of warning, like it is just like the original Ouya server. So if the game is just like a trial version and you've got to like purchase the later levels, then you can't activate that DLC. So you can only play as far as the trial. Right. But yeah, so we've got the Ouya is a fairly recent one that was gifted to us by a viewer. We've just had a VIC-20, which was gifted to us by, Old Style Gaming, don't you?
I do.
we've had we've got quite a lot is the answer. So so we've got a Commodore 64. We've got two of them. We've got like the nice the new one that came out, the Maxi. We've got the Maxi. Plus we've also got an original 64C, you know, like the yellow.
Really nice one.
I think it's supposed to be beige, but it's yellow. The really nice one.
It's the one that looks a bit more like an Amiga.
Yes,
she says that while rubbing her own one here. I've got it right next to me. Love it.
I like a bit of quiet time with my computers as well. Don't worry. I've got Amiga 600, which is nice. Which is a great purchase for the channel because you might know this, but like Amiga's really popular on Twitch if you do Amiga.
Amiga's really popular everywhere. It's amazing.
Yeah, totally. You really realise like how the Atari ST kind of lost the hearts and minds of people. You know, MSX. We've got a Toshiba MSX.
Very nice.
We've got 3 different Spectrums, like the different variations of Spectrums. I've got the aforementioned Atari ST. That's an Atari ST 1040. I've got a NES. We've got a PC Engine. We've got a GameCube. The PC Engine, I'm showing it to you, but obviously they won't see it. It's got
that thing is small.
Yeah, they're gorgeous, the PC Engine. Plus you can get a card that goes in the front with all the games. So the PC Engine is like a little mini arcade. It's such a good buy, that. We've got Amstrad CPC, obviously. Mine's a Spanish one. It's lovely, trying to work out what the pissing keys do. Acorn Electron, I mentioned before. I think that's we've just bought like this little small PC from like about 10 years ago, and we've turned it into like a DOS box as well.
Oh, lovely.
So, because we want to do a few, I want to try and convince Jane to do some games that involve like keyboard and mouse, you know, transition her into that, you know, sort of world of games. So that's all set up as a DOS box.
That'd be interesting.
Master System, Mega Drive, SNES. Yeah, I think that's it. Well, quite a lot. We've been really lucky, and what we do is all of our Twitch income, until very recently, all of it is just used to buy stuff. But now we've decided we need to start taking an income from it. But we thought what we'll do is we'll build up our collection, and then we'll, you know, hopefully that'll set us apart a bit, that we've got, because there are real hardware streamers on Twitch, but they just tend to stream from one machine.
Yeah, they kind of specialise, don't they?
Yeah. So I thought if we can be like the Chinny Vision of Twitch.
Chinny Vision is an influence that so many people have had.
Well, I haven't cleared this with him, but that was in my brain. That is what we were doing, being like the Chinny Vision of Twitch, which has led to a stream I'm planning to do. I'm going to do a stream where we look at one game on 8 systems, and we actually swap the systems over live. I've got that planned. Oh
my goodness! Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, I'll need it, won't I?
Yeah, you can just imagine you're in the middle of the stream, and all of a sudden the next one doesn't load.
Well, you know what it's like.
Yeah, I do.
There's so many things that can go wrong with that, but it'll all be in the planning. And as I'm a shit planner, it'll probably go to crap. But I think people quite enjoy me losing me rag, which I do probably too often. But I'm very much into, like, I think you should try and be honest, especially on Twitch. It's like you want to be yourself, and so if something's upset me or I'm getting frustrated with something, I just tend to just let it out. You know,
it's much. It's something that I've said to people, and it's actually something that Jen told me. She'd read it from Arnold Schwarzenegger's biography, so it comes from him.
Yeah.
You can't have a mask because you won't be able to keep it up all the time. It doesn't matter how good an actor you are. And people are there to see you. So if you're not being you, then what's the point? People are coming to see the real you, not some part you're playing. So just be honest, and it's much easier, and then you never have to worry.
Yeah, I totally agree. It does, you know, there are pros and cons of it, because, you know, if I have a bit of a meltdown, I think I've had probably 2 in the like 19, 20 months that we've been streaming. I've had 2 meltdowns that I've really meant and really felt, like, where I've just been like, I absolutely give up, you know, where you've had a machine and you've spent all day testing that machine, and it's worked perfectly, and you press that live button on OBS, and it's just like, just goes to total and utter shit. And when you spend, an average stream takes 4 or 5 hours to set up.
Yeah.
And if you've gone to town and spent 12 hours setting it up, it really feels personal. And I've just absolutely lost it. But then what happens is people send you messages as though you've been, as though you've just been admitted to the Betty Ford clinic or something. They're like, oh, I just want you to know, we're here for you. Whenever you're ready to talk, we're ready to listen. I'm like, no, I've just had a moody. That's all it is. Like, just can't, a moody. But I suppose it's magnified, isn't it, when it's on someone's computer screen?
Yeah, because you can't do anything about it. You're literally just only able to observe. So, yeah. I suppose that's good because you've got people that are watching that actually care. So that's a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh, my goodness. I don't want to think what would happen if I had to. I think, about 2 times I've had that kind of thing happen to me. The first one was when I'd gone live about 20 minutes after, what was it, Christmas 2020.
Yeah.
When the announcement came out, they were cancelling Christmas, essentially. You couldn't go and visit family because of lockdown. And I live almost 300 miles away from my family. So
Are they in the northeast?
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
They're up in Durham. And I was looking forward to seeing them. I hadn't seen them for most of the year. And then all of a sudden, say, no, you can't. And I still went live. I shouldn't have.
No.
Because I think I was live half an hour and then I just gave up.
I get that feeling sometimes when I go live where I've convinced myself, say if something's bad's happened in the day or you're dealing with something in, like adult problems and stuff, you're dealing with real life and you think, oh, I'll go live and it'll be a good distraction. It'll be fine, And then sometimes like I go live and like Jane can tell straight away, I'm just not feeling it and I'm struggling. But then you think, well, what do I do? I can't say, right, I'm going. But I suppose you can say that, but like I find it hard. I don't think I've ever actually gone, right, I'm going. But if there's ever like one of our streams where it literally is 1 hour, 57 minutes, that's definitely one of them where I've been wanting to go from the off.
I have to say, that is the only time that I've cut a stream, just like, no, I can't do this. That was it. But last, 2 days ago when I was doing Resident Evil, and I died at the same place again and again and again in that bloody game.
Yeah,
I actually stopped and went and played Pac-Man for a bit on the stream.
Yeah, just
because sometimes you just have to take a break. It was getting to me, and it shouldn't, because it's a game, and I'm only there to have fun. But sometimes those games get to you.
Yeah, well, I think the way we stop ourselves getting frustrated with games is that we're so bad for. We'll jump on a game and we'll probably play it for between 2 minutes and 8 minutes. We're very bad at just jumping around like game libraries and stuff. But in my head, if you want to see a proper long play of a game or get deeper into like a game, like there's other places to go and see that. There are so many channels on Twitch and on YouTube where you can either watch a long play or you can watch a streamer who will just play the same game all night and you can get really deep into it. And that's just not us. Like we're more about, oh, look at this. Oh, that's nice. Right, next. We're a bit like that, really.
A bit like how we all used to play games when we were kids. That's what we did. It took 5 or 10 minutes to load the game, but for some reason we only played it a couple of rounds and then off to the next one. That's how it was.
Which is mad when you think, back in the day when you'd have to wait, between 5 and 10 minutes for a game to load, and you still just turn the bugger off. But I think like when people look back, and I don't have this experience or nostalgia, but like looking back, people think, oh, you had to wait 10 minutes for a game, but I'm sure you didn't actually sit there and watch it. You probably went and did something else, did you, while it was loading?
Well, normally we'd talk about how to play it.
Yeah.
Or
so there was
what had happened at school and things like that.
Yeah. So it's not like, I think people look at it through a modern lens and go, oh man, you have to wait all this time. But when you cook your tea, it doesn't instantly arrive. You have to cook it, don't you? You know, stuff takes time.
Yeah.
You know, but we haven't got that experience of these machines first time round. So if we can do anything, we do give like a fairly honest reaction to these machines because we've not got any like nostalgia getting in the way.
Yeah,
Well,
you're coming to it fresh.
Yeah. There's a couple of machines that for whatever reason mean more to me, which I would say is the Atari ST and the MSX.
Wow.
And so yeah, I've got more of a. I'm very forgiving of those two machines. Like,
sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, like, if the Amiga, if I have a problem with the Amiga loading a game or whatever, I'm like, what a load of fucking shit! Oh my god! Whereas if the Atari ST has a problem loading from the Gotek, I'm like, oh, it's having problems with its file structure. No problem. I still love you. Let's try the next one. You know. So yeah, the Atari ST and the MSX, and that's because when I first like started my first job where I had like a regular wage, and I was single, living on my own, you know, I bought a few old machines off eBay that were going for no money at all, and they were the Atari ST and the MSX. So if you can call that nostalgia, that's where that comes from, is that I had those, but I lost those to an ex-girlfriend. They're in the loft of a girl who I broke up with.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I mean, I'm glad I broke up with her now. It could be the Mikey and Lindsay channel. You know, that wouldn't work out. But yeah, I think like that initial going out and buying some old stuff, including some very rare Doctor Who VHS tapes, can I say?
Oh,
they were left in a loft when I did a bunk from someone who got on my nerves.
You'll have to go back and reclaim them, Catburg.
Yeah, knock on door, yeah.
Oh no, nothing like that. You swing across on the rooftops, climb in via the chimney, and just tap to get the brickwork out, and then get in there. That's how you do it. Like make a game of it.
Like the milk tray bloke, but
yeah,
rather than leaving chocolates, stealing Acorn electrons.
Is it stealing or is it reclaiming?
It's reclaiming. I bet she's blooming sold them on eBay anyway. She's probably a scalper.
Well, you know, if it's there, you might as well.
Speaking of eBay, have you seen the state of the cost of machines at the moment on there?
I try not to look, to be honest with you, because I want a few more machines. I haven't quite got the collection together to make my museum yet.
Yeah.
So I still need some machines, but I cannot for the life of me justify those prices. It's ridiculous. I'm hoping that after the pandemic's over, people will calm down a bit, but I have a feeling it's not going to go that way.
I suppose it's like anything, you know, when there's less of something, the price goes up, doesn't it? And I think there's so many of these machines now that are either in landfill or just buggered, fried, you know, that there's now just less of them. And I know like that argument doesn't really hold with something like the Commodore 64 when there must be billions of the bloody things out there.
I believe there are about 8 million of them.
Well, there you go. So you know, that's not exactly rare, but like some of the other ones, you know, like you can understand why people have gone crazy for Sam Coupes, can't you?
No, I can't.
No.
I'm sorry, but a slightly souped up Spectrum just doesn't do it for me, man.
But you not think, and I know this is not a way to appraise machines, but I just think it's beautiful. There's just something sexy about that machine that it's got 2 disk drives. Whoa.
It is a nice looking machine, I'll grant you that, but I don't know. I have that same feeling though about the Amstrad Mega PC. I had one when I was a teenager, and it was the best machine. I know it wasn't fast, and even when it came out, it was pretty much out of date, but it was nice. It looked great, and it was mine, and I want one again. But I can't justify £1,000 for an old PC that can't run anything.
Well, because he literally, Amstrad literally took a Mega Drive glued it to the side of a substandard PC. I mean, that's right, isn't it? You know, developed a case, but the two things aren't linked, are they?
No, they're pretty much separate. It's a laptop style PC in a box,
in a big box
with a Mega Drive stuck on one bit, and on the front is a little switch that switches the monitor, and also can detect whether there's a cartridge in the Mega Drive and won't power it up if there's no cartridge in.
Right.
And that's about it.
But I bet it's doing that mechanically. You know, I bet they're not linked electronically.
No, it's all in that switch at the front which is basically just an enhanced monitor switch. It's very cleverly done.
Somebody showed me on Twitter the other day, and I had no idea about this because we were doing a PC Engine stream, and I put a picture up of the PC Engine, and I said, you know, is there any love for this machine? And everyone started like replying with like their PC Engine collection and their TurboGrafx collection, like, which is, I think my understanding is TurboGrafx is basically the same machine. And,
yeah, they are. Yeah.
And anyway, one of them was a Mega PC style mashup of a PC and a PC Engine. And I had no idea this thing existed. And it's got like, you know, the card slot on there for the PC Engine. Plus then at the side of it, it's got a space for the big floppies, you know, like the wobbly ones.
Oh, 5.25.
Yeah. And also for a 3.5, you know, the normal disc. And this is all on the same machine.
Wow.
Now, I don't know whether I can't remember what it was called. So I'm sorry, I'm coming to this with no information, but I can't remember what it was called. And I said to him, did you build that? Or, you know, or is that like legit? And he was like, no, this is a thing that came out. And it's basically, you know, a PC Engine and a PC like in the same box.
Wow. That is amazing. I've never even heard of that.
No, I hadn't.
See, this is why I like talking to people that are in the space, for want of a better word, because you're always learning something new. You might think that you know all kinds, but there's always something else out there, and it's great to learn about it.
Yeah, and you know, I was a bit dubious about putting the channel on Twitter, but it's been a real success so far. And also because like I'm only following people who like to talk about old stuff.
Yeah,
you know, I'm not following political commentators, you know what I mean, or celebrities.
That's why you're not following me.
I am following you.
Oh dear, well, I apologise.
I keep meaning to ask you, well, I know this is probably not the forum, but I keep meaning to ask you about your political background.
There's not much to say. I was an activist with the Conservative Party for over 10 years. Yeah. I was a councillor for them, and did stand to be a parliamentary candidate, but never actually got onto any election ballots for that. But never mind. It's just that's how it is. It was a good time.
A cracking achievement. 10 years, really?
Yeah, I was around in the background doing loads of stuff for general elections from way back when Cameron was still leading the Tories but hadn't become PM yet. So that was fun.
Well, weirdly, I won't go into too much detail here, but there is 3 MPs in the House of Commons who I have either been mates with or in one case used to share a flat with him.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bonkers. And I just can't understand how it's happened.
Yes.
Yeah, but there was a guy who is from where I'm from. There's another guy who I shared a flat with in Edinburgh, and then there's another guy who was a friend of a uni friend of one of my mates who we used to go drinking with. And it's like, how have I ended up linked to these bloody MPs? It's so surreal.
It can be weird, yeah.
It is when they're asking a question in Parliament. You're like, oh my God.
Yes. I can imagine. Hang on, last time I saw you were upside down under a table.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, there's one particular MP who is a Labour MP who that guy knew how to party. That's all I'm saying.
To be honest with you, most MPs know how to party. And that's kind of been the problem for the last few weeks, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, I suppose so, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, right. But speaking of modern news, we've had a little bit of an interesting thing going on lately in the in gaming circles, haven't we? Because Microsoft bought Activision, and then Sony decided, well, we're going to have some of that, and they bought who was it, Bungie, Microsoft's X. So, what do you think of the possibility of Microsoft coming out with some of Activision's old products?
I just think like it's never a good thing when there's like dominance in a marketplace, because I mean, already there's a lot of dominance in there because, you know, like there's only really 3 shows in town, isn't there, if you want to have a console. You know, there's
pretty much.
And that's not good for the market, and like it never used to be like that. And you know, being surrounded by all these machines basically from the same 9-year era shows that it wasn't like that before. You know, like there's people bringing out different machines. They were spec'd in different ways. They had the pros, they had the cons. Yeah, some of the games appeared on all the systems, but even when that happened, like the ports had their own distinctive character. It's not like literally the same game. I mean, it's really boring, isn't it, that you can play literally the same game on the Xbox, the PlayStation, and the Switch, and it's just basically the same game. It just feels really boring. But from like a business point of view, you know, for like the customer getting a good deal, it's never good when, you know, someone's going around like Microsoft and buying up all these IPs and buying up all these companies and all these. That's just not good because they get to set their own price.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. I do remember when it jumped to about £70 per modern game, and everyone said that's too much. But it had been £60 for almost a decade, and people got used to it. But I keep looking at it from the point of view of, well, yeah, it's a lot. But I remember when it was £1.99 to get a game. I thought that was a lot.
Well, this is the thing: is that games used to be something which, as a kid, you could save up for. Mm. So, as a kid, you could go, okay, so if I deliver the Tandy catalogue to 800 houses, I'll end up with permanent back problems, but also I'll get paid £9. And with that £9, I can go buy Pang for the Amiga or whatever. And you could sort of make that leap. How can a 9-year-old pull together £60 for Splatoon 2? Do you know, it's not going to work, is it? So it becomes, it's like the adults who only used to be in charge of buying the machine, but not the game. The adults are now, the parents are now in charge of the game and the machine.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's good because kids' imaginations are completely different to an adult's imagination. So I think the kids should dictate the market.
Yeah.
You know? Because otherwise it's just all shooters and, well, I mean, that's what it's ended up like, isn't it? It's all first-person shooters. And
a lot of it, unfortunately, it's like, what's trendy? Right, we'll do one of them. And because everyone's doing one of them, the next guy does one of them. Yeah. And they all chase each other, and it's not good for innovation.
And also, you've got a situation where, I don't know how you fix this, but you've got a situation where 10-year-olds are playing the same games cooperatively with 55-year-olds and talking to each other on chat, and which is fine, but it's like, how do these 2 groups of people's interests align? Well, they don't. But the reason they're both playing the same game is that's the only pissing game that's being marketed for that system at the moment, and it's your dad that bought it, or your mum that bought it, or whatever. Whereas, like, I don't know, like back in the day, I really like Feud.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like Feud, as a kid, you'd have bought that because of that straight away, because of like the cover's just hilarious. It's these 2 guys fighting and bears no relationship to the game. But as a kid, you could buy that for $2.99 or whatever and have a unique gaming experience that it's appealed to you. You talk to your mates about it, and somebody like, oh, Feud, I've not heard of that one, But like, no, you couldn't go to school and say, oh yeah, I found this game. It's called Fortnite. Has anyone tried it? Well, of course they have. So I think that discovery and like that quirkiness and uniqueness of systems and stuff, I think that particular trend of buying up IPs and publishing houses is just going to make that worse, not better. I think it's a shame because, going into John Menzies or whatever when you were a kid.
Oh my goodness, I remember that.
You know, having all those different games. You know, it wasn't like there was 8 games on the shelf that everyone's playing. There was 88 games on the shelf, and some of them nobody ever went near. You know, pick it up from the bottom. I mean, this is all just like from me, like reflected nostalgia. But going down the bottom and finding some dusty one that no bugger's picked up for ages, you know, and it's got like 3 stickers on it where it's been reduced from $3.99 to $2.99, you know, and you think, oh, I'll give this a go, and then you're going to discover something, aren't you? You're going to discover something.
Yes, the discovery is the thing I do miss, I have to admit.
Yeah, and I think the kids are going to miss out on that. You know, if you're a 10-year-old gamer, I think you're kind of missing out.
Yeah, I'm really glad I asked you on about this, because my thought was different. When Microsoft announced that they were buying Activision, my first thought was, oh, are we going to get another Rare replay? Only this time with Activision's old classics, because that could be quite interesting.
Yeah,
but you've got a completely different view to me.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of that shows what an optimist and positive person you are. That you thought, oh, this will be great. This will be great. They'll go through the libraries and we'll get these old games, and I think it could happen. Absolutely. I mean, also like retro gaming isn't in the sidelines anymore. It's becoming a bit more like mainstream. Are you feeling that? Like
I am, and I like it because it keeps the old stuff alive. And I'm very much about the history. Like I said, I'm trying to build a museum for this stuff. Yeah. So I'm very much about the history and keeping it alive. But a part of me is a little bit selfish because I haven't finished my PlayStation 2 collection yet. And I kind of want to make sure I can get them all before someone else buys it. So I'm a little bit 50-50 on whether it's good for it to go mainstream.
So how many games are there on the PlayStation 2?
We're not entirely sure. No 2 lists are the same.
Oh.
But based on my last calculation, it's about 2,240 odd.
Oh, Christ. And how many have you got now?
1,800 and odd. I've got about 400 left.
You're going to end up on one of them Channel 5 programs. They'll be coming round and saying, Zoe has a collection of over 1,800 games.
And unfortunately, we found her this morning when they all fell off the shelves on her.
She spends most afternoons in cash converters looking to pick up rare copies of PlayStation 2 shooters.
Oh, I'm more on the puzzles side. I have to admit, I'm one of those fans of puzzles.
Can you still get bargains in places like cash converters and stuff like that? I never go in there, but I know you mention it sometimes, like in some of the places.
Sometimes you can, yes. I've been having trouble though. CEX has the prices are the same everywhere, but Cash Generator and Cash Converters, some of their local branches, if they've got too many or something, will really price it down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not lucky enough to be in an area where they're doing that. So all my friends go, oh, I got all these PS1 and PS2 games for 50p each. And I'm looking at them like, they're very nice. I would like them. I go down to my local branch, $14.99 for this game. No, I'm not paying $14.99 for that game.
So is that because maybe I'm trying to work out like the economics of that? Is that because there's less retro collecting in your area? Therefore, they haven't got 12 copies of that game. They've only got 1.
It does feel a lot like that. They're not eager to get rid of them to use the space for something else. And there's not a huge amount of people bringing stuff in, so it can sit there for a bit longer and they don't have the pressure to move that stuff.
Yeah. So
it's just how it is.
And we're talking about Bolton, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. I apologize if I've told you this before, but whenever I think of Bolton, I think of my friend Andy. We were at Bolton bus station and he was eating a Wham bar and his front 2 teeth came out in the bar.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Oh my goodness, that is the most cheap dentist ever.
I was just like, what? I just couldn't unwrap what I'd seen.
Oh my goodness, my teeth are aching in sympathy.
Oh, well, there was some story about how I don't know, he'd been at the water park. You know, there used to be a water centre there.
That did,
And
yeah.
and he'd come down the, do you call it a flue? What do you call it when you come down the tube thing, like a slide? Water slide, yeah? So
we just called it a slide.
yeah, so he was, I don't know what I'm on about. He was coming down the water slide forwards, right? And at the bottom of the slide, there was a kid who hadn't got out of the way quick enough.
Oh.
So he hit the back of this kid's head, lost his 2 front teeth. Dentist put him some new ones in, or I don't know, made them out of paper mache, fuck knows, right? So he had these 2 teeth, and but I didn't know about all this until I saw them in this wham bar. I was like,
oh my goodness!
Yeah, it's put me right off wham bars, though. I'll tell you that for free. But that's what I think of when I think of Butland is that wham bar.
Oh my goodness! I have it's not quite the same story, but similar. When I was at university, when I was reading physics, I was a member of a live-action role-playing group, which is great. It's like a cross between a pantomime and Dungeons and Dragons, and it was amazing.
Oh yeah, I could be up for that. Is that what Dobby plays in Peep Show?
I don't watch it. The only thing I've got a TV for is because my Xbox is plugged into it. I don't watch TV.
How well we kind of don't now, but like there's just you. How have you not seen? Have you seen IT Crowd?
No.
What? How have you avoided that? Surely you've been walking past Dixon's and it's been on in there, or you know, like how have you avoided IT Crowd and Peep Show? That's insane. I'm impressed.
I went to university twice. I didn't have time for TV.
Oh, you've been busy. Well, out of those 2, I would say if you want to like start one, because you can watch them on like the streaming services and stuff.
Yeah.
But IT Crowd, you'll just love like on the set they've got like BBC micros in the background and all kinds. It's a bit like the British, what do you call it? What's that other thing? What's it called in America? Big Bang Theory. It's kind of like that. It's about geeks, but like cool geeks. Like we are cool geeks.
Speak for yourself.
but yeah, you should check out IT Crowd. It's really good.
I'll have a look. Thanks. But yeah, while I was doing the live action role playing, give me 1 second. It's one of the props I use on GameHammer sometimes. This is a live role-playing weapon. It's like an axe. It's pretty good medieval style axe, but it's entirely made of foam. We're covered in latex and painted.
Oh.
But to keep it steady, there is a rod of carbon down the middle, which means that if you hit people, it can hurt. So you have to do a load of safety drills to make sure that you know how to fight with these things without hurting someone. Well, someone hadn't done their safety drills and hit me in the face with a sword and cracked a tooth there and a tooth there, knocked me sideways, and when I hit the floor, cracked a tooth there and a tooth there.
Oh my God. At the back?
No, in the middle.
In the middle, so you can sort of see...
Yeah, just there. If I open my mouth too wide, people see a lot of fillings. It's because of that.
Oh my God. Because I suppose with that, when it's like made of foam or whatever, you might think it would be a bit like Mallet's mallet, it won't do you any harm.
Yeah.
But it's got like a carbon...
It's got a carbon rod in the middle of it. So there's a bit of give and then one big solid lump.
Oh my God.
They cracked my tooth. And now one of my teeth is half tooth, half filling with pins and scaffolding to keep it all together.
Right.
Unfortunately, one Christmas I was eating some toffees and ripped that scaffolding right out.
The whole thing.
The entire bit came out. It's like, oh. And that feeling you get where all of a sudden you just feel like all the blood drains and goes straight to your stomach.
Yeah, well, there's a primeval thing about teeth. Like anything wrong with our teeth makes us feel really bad. And
yeah,
I don't know what it is, but there's something. They reckon that's why, when you're feeling anxious, you dream about your teeth crumbling. Like, do you ever get that dream? It's linked to it. There's something about teeth that makes you pit your stomach if you feel a problem, or you're like, oh, not my teeth. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely something there. I've actually got the same thing. My back tooth has been split across the top, like all crunched off. But this was my fault because I was dancing a bit too close to someone's girlfriend in a nightclub once, and the guy whacked me from behind, like put me back in my
Oh my goodness!
No, I deserved it. So he punched me from behind, and he punched me so hard. Thank God he didn't whack me jaw, but he actually took the top off the tooth.
Oh.
I didn't go home though. I stayed out, had a few beers, had a vodka.
Well, I suppose it's like nature's. What's the word?
Well, it's nature's way of telling you not to dance with other people's girlfriends.
It's not an experience I've ever had, I have to admit. Well, I'm very much a stereotypical nerd.
Well, I didn't do it after that, I'll tell you.
Oh my goodness! So we've all got injuries. That's why we're gamers now, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't do too much problems in our little retro caves.
That's true. Unless you're on one of those virtuality machines.
Speaking of virtuality, we've just had a Oculus Quest 2.
I got one today.
Have you really?
Yeah, literally. I've got it on charge at the moment because I got it, set it up, and then it said low battery, so it's on charge at the moment.
Yeah, they have quite a decent. Like if you charge it up, you'll get. I think you get like about 3.5 hours, something like that. But nice. You can also have it plugged. You get like a real dead long cable and have it plugged in. But Jane uses it really. But they're pretty good. Like they're good. They're good fun, and a lot of the games on there are quite kind of old school.
Excellent.
Like they're not retro games, but they're designed to be simple, pick up and play, addicting games.
That's the kind of game I like.
Yeah. So if you do need any like suggestions of cheap games on there that are fun to play, like I'll send you a message on Facebook because they're pretty good. They're pretty good. So it's like they've embraced the limitations because they've only really got little Android box in there, really, aren't they? They're Android based. So they've they seem to concentrate on like the quality of the experience rather than rather than having amazing game assets and textures and all that. So they're kind of old school, some of the games, in a funny kind of way.
Cool. But the one I was thinking of is those old the one that's basically an Amiga 500 with a cable attached to a couple of goggles. Virtuality. The one from the 90s.
Are these the ones that they would show you on like programs like was it Bad Attitude and
all that? There was one game with that, and you're in this kind of disc-shaped thing so that you can walk around, and you're fighting with swords. I can imagine you could get pretty quickly injured with that thing.
Well, there's a game on there called Beat Saber, and you don't have to get carried away with your. And the amount of times I've smacked my hand on the conservatory door or something, and you really, when something from the real world interacts with you, it's quite scary. So what I do is when Jane's playing it, like I'll go and I'll kind of like knock her or pinch her or something. She'll be like, get off, because you don't see it coming.
That's cruel.
Yeah,
I will have to try that with Jen.
Yeah, honestly, they jump out of their chair like.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, but it's really good. Yeah, Oculus Quest 2. Yeah, but I think from what I can understand, you can also, I haven't done it, but you can also connect it to your PC and use it as a normal VR. So you can play from Steam, or you could put retro. You could use RetroArch in it, and it just appears like a big screen.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, so there is some retro potential in the Oculus Quest.
Oh, I need to find someone who's managed to. Sort out a virtuality machine for it. That would be so cool.
Yeah, it makes sense that you could do. You could play game. You could find the games that were on that machine, play them in an emulator, and then have that emulator on your PC come up in the headset, which is fairly simple to do.
Oh, I need.
You could even
that.
Just thinking of it. You could even get an emulator that plays. Virtual Boy games.
Oh, that would be so funny.
Yeah, you could put them in there. Oh my god, that would work really easily.
Yeah, you could have you could have the same effects with it as well and get massive amounts of eye strain. That would be perfect. Proper retro experience.
Honestly, so word of warning with these virtual reality is you're okay if it's a game where you sort of stood somewhere, right? And you're playing table tennis or whatever. That's all fine, right? But some of the games have you moving forward. And I just nearly throw up. I just nearly throw up because your body's going, no, don't understand this.
Yeah.
And I just, it's like when I'm in a taxi, I always feel like I'm going to throw up in taxis. I get really seasick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just terrible. I've not got sea legs at all. And, this game out of nowhere just suddenly moved me from one room to another and I nearly threw up. I was like, no, thanks. So I stick to games where you just stood there now.
Well, speaking as someone who has tablets to stop them getting travel sick, sitting in a chair.
Wow. Well, you might want to be careful then. You might want to be careful. But you might be all right with, like you say, with some emulators. There could be some potential there. Make an interesting video.
Yeah, that would be so cool. I really want an arcade so I can just wander in and think, here's my Pac-Man. Bleep, 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 bleep.
That exists.
Really?
Yeah, so there's a program called, I think it's called, Steve Benway's always talking about it because he loves it. It's something like, it might be called like, the app might be called something like VR Chat, but you'd have to look it up. And you're just walking around places talking to people, but it has an arcade.
Oh, yeah. I need to find this.
Yeah, so you can go into the arcade and you can, it's a bit weird at first because like you're in the arcade and there's some like Portuguese lad talking to you and you're like, shut up, mate. It's like quite strange getting used to that. But yeah, you can just like play a game on there. Like they have that, don't they? As like as an Easter egg in games sometimes, don't they? Like modern games where you can go into an arcade and play a retro game.
Yeah, the first time I came across that was what was it, Shenmue on Dreamcast, which everyone calls Shenmue.
I do, yeah.
There's an E on the end of it. Surely it's Shenmue.
Yeah. Well, now you say it, yeah, I suppose so. But you know what it's like? We all say things like what we hear people say it in a YouTube video.
Yeah.
It's like I used a word earlier, and as soon as I said it, I thought, why am I saying it like that? But it's because, so when you say you're addicted to something, like, oh yeah, I'm addicted to the Amiga, whatever, right? Or that game's is addictive. The Americans don't say addictive, they say addicting, right?
Yeah.
And I've started saying it, and I'm like, why am I saying this? If I was at school when I was a kid and going, oh yeah, this coffee's very addicting, I'd have got beaten up. But because you hear stuff in, because we're brought up by people like the 8-bit guy, you start saying stuff like they do, don't you?
I suppose so, yeah. It is a bit, it's like you learn pronunciations through osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the sheer amount of content that we know consume from America, it gets in there, doesn't it? And
absolutely.
And we've got a 5-year-old, as you know, and I'm sure it won't be long until she's telling me about how her Fire tablet is addicting, and I'll be like, mate, pack it in.
Oh, that's something I'll never have to deal with, thankfully.
Well, we never thought we'd have a kid, and we did, and it's amazing. She's already had a go at Dizzy. She likes playing Dizzy.
I was going to ask when it's one thing you do when you're in the retro circles and say, so at what point do you teach your children about Dizzy? It seems to be one of the things.
Well, I could never teach her anything of any value in Dizzy because I'm terrible at it and I haven't got a clue what to do, but I do like just jumping about.
Yeah.
And that's what she likes. She likes how you can just jump about. And she likes like avoiding, when the spider comes down and stuff like that. She likes avoiding all that stuff. So to begin with, when she started, she'd do the direction and I'd do the jump. You can get quite far with that technique, with a 5-year-old doing the direction and you doing the jump. But no, she's getting a bit more, a bit better at it. I tried her on Outrun on, I think it was the PC Engine. Might have been on the PC Engine.
Oh, nice version.
Yeah, and that's great for kids because you just press the button and move left and right. Like it's one of those games that you can pick up and anyone can play, but it's bloody hard to do.
Yeah.
We tried Outrun 2 on the Xbox last night on stream. We were doing original Xbox.
Oh, I love Outrun 2 on Xbox. It's amazing.
So it's gorgeous.
Yes.
What a great game. So nice. And you could just get straight into it, Yeah, lovely game. We also tried, I think it was called, it was like a volleyball thing. And it was virtually X-rated. I was like, I'm going to get...
Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball.
That's the one. I thought I was going to get TOS or...
Extreme Beach Volleyball. It's great.
Oh my God. There is a lot of jiggling going on in that game.
There is.
And Jane was accidentally zooming in. With your thumbstick, you can zoom in on these girls on the beach. Yep. But put it this way, the volleyball element of that game is very much in the background.
Yes, it's a dating sim.
It's something. It's a unique world.
I love it. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absolutely it was a good laugh to stream, but I was thinking, oh my God, like how was this a thing?
Well, you've got to remember that was the sign of the times. It was very much like the lads' night out culture that was going around.
Yeah.
So, but it really fit.
But you had like those programs, didn't you, on like Channel 4 where it was hosted by like 3 girls in their early 20s.
The girly show and things like that.
Yeah. So everyone played their part.
Yes. No one's blameless in that.
Yeah. In the, what was it, FHM? I'm remembering that right?
Oh, my goodness,
FHM generation.
Oh, and Nuts magazine and all that. Oh.
God, that shows how sad my life is. I've gone from FHM to Retro Gamer magazine.
Nothing wrong with Retro Gamer magazine.
Space of 10 years. Well, speaking of magazines, I've signed up for Fusion. Have you tried that one?
I've got a couple of issues. I've got the Dizzy issue, but I don't tend to go for Fusion. I actually write for Amtix, the Amstrad CPC one. But the one I collect the most is Crash. Oh,
do you mean like the original ones or the new?
The new one from Fusion Books. I love Crash.
Yeah. Someone very kindly, Lucas Rainford, if you ever see him, he's a supporter of channels, and he very kindly sent me some original magazines. So I've got like what's it called? I've got a copy. I've got some copies of Computer and Video Games.
Oh wow!
This is from June. No, it doesn't say on that one. That's weird. You'll probably know if I show you the. Here we go. When would you date this to? You can see it on.
That's Shadow Warrior. That would be. I'm thinking 87.
Does this help? On the back cover, they're advertising Emotion by US Gold.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, really?
Is that?
It's
my goodness.
It looks quite cool. It's got 92%.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's that.
That is.
But also, probably more, I think this is more popular, isn't it? I've got a Zap.
Oh, Zap 64. Oh, the Amiga version.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is, I think this is the point where it was Commodore 64 and Amiga, it looks like, is in this.
Oh,
but it's absolutely brilliant. And you can just tell the inspiration, because this is Fusion. I've got Fusion as well.
Yep.
And it's very much inspired, isn't it, by them.
Chris loves this also. That's it. Amtix. Is that issue 1?
Amtix number 1, summer 2021.
Yeah. I'm in that one. All of the little profile pictures, I drew them all.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I was looking at those.
I tried to get as close to the style that the original guy did as possible, but for our new people.
In the original style from... So is it based on Amstrad Action? Is that the idea?
No, it's... Amtix is the magazine from the same people who made Zap and Crash and all of that.
Oh, so there was... Oh, sorry, didn't know that. So there was actually a magazine called Amtix.
Yep. Amtix Micro Action CPC.
Did not know that, because I'm not versed in like the Amstrad scene, but I know in chat... When you watch an Amstrad stream, people tend to talk about Amstrad Action, don't they?
Yes, it's the big one. Amstrad Action's the only one that managed to get over 100 issues. And it was basically the magazine for the Amstrad community. But it wasn't the only one.
Oh, well, yeah. So I'm quite enjoying these old and new
Yeah.
Because it's just nice to have something physical to read, isn't it? Because I don't know
Yes.
about you, but I can't stand scrolling through a website and reading.
I know I'm a massive nerd, but I love the old stuff. I'll read all night on my phone.
Yeah.
I put an ebook on my phone and I'll read it. But there is something to be said about actually I'm going to grab one now. Actually grabbing and holding a magazine. When I first picked up the first issue of Crash and had it in my hand, it was like a wave of nostalgia. Like, wow, we've got our magazines back, and it was just so nice. So yeah, I love this sort of thing.
Yeah, and also they had like the games, the magazines had a sense of humor, didn't they?
They did.
It's a bit like if you pick up a Doctor Who magazine from like the early 90s, it's dead funny.
Yeah.
Like it's got a real sense of humor. But if you read it now, it's like, you know.
Yeah, it's something that's gone.
Yeah.
It's sad because when you had the magazine back in the day, it felt like you were part of a club. And they were talking to you as a friend.
Yeah.
And these days, it's far more like they're trying to be professional. It's like, there's something missing. I want the community back, guys.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think it's a good thing when... I'm sorry, the reference is Doctor Who again here, but like, I don't think it's a good thing when every review of a series talks about how amazing it is. And you think, well, they can't all be amazing.
Yeah, whereas especially not modern Doctor Who. There's some clunkers.
Oh, yeah. But if you look back at these old magazines that came out, like Doctor Who Bulletin, DWB, and like these magazines that came out in the 80s, they will say this episode's a right load of old rubbish. Like and it's like it's kind of fun because it feels honest. So when they say something's great, it's great. But if everything's great, nothing's great, is it?
Yes. Oh my goodness! Now you're getting onto Syndrome from the Incredibles, when everyone's super and no one is. But it's true.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. It's similar to what we were talking about before about streaming. Like why it's important to be yourself, because if it's all, hey everybody, this is fantastic. Oh yeah, great. Like if you're relentlessly positive and there's no ebbs and flows as a streamer, then it's like, what do you really like? I can't tell, because you seem enthusiastic about everything.
Yeah. I love most games, but if I find one I don't like, I'll bloody tell people. It's like, avoid this one, it's crap. That I'm very much a fan of that, but I do know what you mean. If it's we're going to be having a great time today, we're going to play terrible game number 5 and it's going to be so much fun. It's like, no, it's not. Just tell us it's not. Then we'll believe what you say. Yeah.
I have this funny relationship with swearing on stream, where sometimes I think, oh no, we can't swear. And sometimes I'm like effing and blinding, like I'm up the working men's club, and I can't decide whether it's okay to swear on stream. I can't make my mind up because I swear a lot in real life. And so I've got this like commentary track in my brain that says, yeah, be real, tell them what you think, but just change the swear word. But then some nights I'll just swear my head off. I'm never quite sure like what Twitch thinks of swearing. It's hard to know what Twitch thinks of anything.
Yeah, I do wonder that sometimes with YouTube as well. I know they don't like swearing, so I tried not to, but sometimes it's live. What are you going to do?
Well, yeah, and YouTube's got that whole thing going on it about... YouTube's got, I think, more restrictions, hasn't it? Because it's got all that history around... what was that rule they brought in where you had to say whether your content was for kids and all that stuff? And because the parental groups were quite rightly up in arms about some of the stuff that was on there. I can't blame YouTube for the rules that they brought in. They've got to protect themselves, otherwise it all goes. But I preferred if they'd explain why a bit more rather than us having to work it out. Yeah, that's what you do, and it's trial and error all the time. Like, oh, can I get away with this? Can I get away with that? That's like, as a Twitch streamer, one of the things you worry about is any music and any video that you play. And you think, well, what's fair use? What's in the background? What isn't in the background? Is it okay if I delete the VOD? Should I mute it? You just don't quite know.
Yeah.
So you play this kind of... you play this kind of push me pull me with. It's like trying to woo like a partner that you've never met. You know, you're trying to guess what they like. You know, do they like red wine? Do they like white wine? You know, I just don't know. Like, so you just mix them together and give them that. You know, it's like you're just trying to work out what do they want? What do you want from me?
Oh my goodness! Now I'm just picturing Twitch as like the rosé of wines.
Well, you see, you've fallen into a trap there because rosé is not red mixed with white.
At the end of the night, when there's nothing else left, yes, it is.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Sorry, I've been a student twice. I have a certain view of alcohols.
Hey, we feel like that sometimes at the end of a stream. I mean, we don't drink much on stream anymore, but we used to. And at the end, you're raiding, you know, the liqueurs that someone bought you 2 years ago at Christmas, you know.
Yes. What is this? I don't know. It's German. We'll try it.
God knows. Let's give it a go. Yeah.
We actually had a German thing one time. Someone had given us it because they'd been away. And I still, for the life of me, cannot remember what this thing was called or what it tasted like. But I do remember we drank it, and then I can't remember the rest of the night.
Yeah.
It must have been strong.
We have had a couple of streams where I've been sent to bed.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Well, I do remember one. Fun. There was one fateful evening because Jane doesn't know how to... Sorry, I always say Jane, but I know her name's Janie. But that's because I call her Jane. That's weird. But Jane doesn't know how to stop the stream. Like, she doesn't know how to use OBS. Oh. And so we had a situation where the chat was trying to tell Jane how to end the stream because I was passed out. So they're all going, okay, what can you see in front of you? Is there a button that says this?
Oh, my goodness.
Because bless her.
Don't go into the light.
Yeah. Bless her, she didn't know how to stop the blooming stream. But to be fair, she's picked up a lot since then. And when I go away working, like she's done her own streams on her own. So
fantastic.
Yeah, props, yeah.
Yeah, we all learn eventually.
Yeah.
Although having said that, I'm on a Star Trek show on Sunday nights, and our host, who created the show and set everything up, still occasionally presses leave show instead of end show. So we're all sat there going, she'll be back in a minute, guys. Just wait a second.
Yeah, it's easily done. It's like in OBS, the start streaming button is right next to the start recording button. Mm-hmm. And the amount of times where I've been using OBS to record something and I've started streaming like so many times, and you're like, stop. Because you know, if you click it within, I think it's 3 seconds, it won't go to the server.
Yeah.
So like, stop. Because otherwise all these notifications are going out and it's, you know, me sitting there trying to capture Krypton Factor. Or something.
Oh my goodness. Krypton Factor. That's taken me back. Wow.
Yeah. We do race nights where, we show races from shows like Krypton Factor, Gladiators, We Are the Champions, stuff like that. And you can gamble on who will win. So it's like, you know, you used to do those old race nights at the pub where they've got like old cine footage of dogs going around a track and you can gamble on.
Wow. I've never seen that sort of thing.
Have you not seen that?
No, I used to only go to the pub when it was quiz night.
Oh, that's a proper northern thing, that. In the working men's clubs, they'd have a race night and literally a guy would turn up with tapes of horse races.
Wow.
And there was this whole thing about if someone chatted too much with the guy, they'd be like, oh, you're cheating because you're asking him. And they proper gamble on who would win these things. So when I set up race night, that's what I had in my mind, you know, like in a working men's club. Yeah.
That is fantastic. Wow. Well, you know what? We've been going for an hour and a half, and I said I'd only keep you for an hour.
That's okay. It's been fun.
It has. I've loved every minute of this. You're a fantastic guy. Can you tell us and the viewers where they can find you?
So we are on Twitch on Tuesdays, Fridays and Sundays at 8 p.m, twitch.tv/MikeyAndJanie, but we're also on, Twitter as well, and you can come and see us. All of our links, if you just put Mikey and Janie into Google, you get all our stuff now. So we're lucky that our names, in combination with each other, are unique enough that when you type Mikey and Janie, you get all our stuff. But it'd be great to see you on stream.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you tonight. Okay, I think you can see what I mean, where the guy springs to life from the video. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to Mikey, and I really do recommend you take a look at his channel over on Twitch. I've put a link to it in the description bar so that you can see it too. Absolutely well worth it. Love his channel, love the show, and I think you'll enjoy it too. Okay, so that's all we've got time for at the moment. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have enjoyed this as much as I have. But until next time, I've been Zoe Kirk-Robinson. You've been watching Hammercast, the GameHammer Classic Gaming Podcast. Take care, and I'll see you next time. If you like the show, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It really does help create future videos. That's patreon.com/Zoe Kirk-Robinson. And I've got an extra special thanks going out to Chief89, Sam Yates, Retro Mickey 82, Mo Henry, and George Botterini. Thank you so much, guys.